In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this spider web wrister. Perfect for Halloween. The reason why it's called a wrister is because the cuff just covers your wrist and your hand is open. It's not truly a glove, but it looks just adorable. It will keep your wrist warm, but it's more decorative for the Halloween season. So if you would like to learn how to make this spider web wrister today, join me in this tutorial and I will show you how to make it. And I also made this little spider. You can make a little spider applique to put on the cuff, and it looks just adorable. Goes perfect with the spider web theme. And this one here, I made it with the purple sparkle scrubby yarn, actually. And then I used black yarn to make the eyes. This one has 6 legs. I guess technically a spider would have 8 legs, but because it's fuzzy yarn, I thought it looked just perfect like that. So you can make any spider that you like and attach it to the cuff. So let's go ahead and get started. To make the spiderweb wristers, I am using a 4-ply worsted weight yarn. This is Red Heart Super Saver yarn. The color I chose to use is black for my spiderweb, and you can do this with white, gray looks great, any color that you want. You can even get some of that glow-in-the-dark yarn, and that would be really neat. Okay, so I'm also going to be using a size E or 4, 3.50 millimeter crochet hook. So we're going to go ahead and start off with a slip knot. Now we're going to chain 5. And we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first chain to form a circle. Okay, now that we have our little circle, let's go ahead and chain 5, because we want to have a total of 8 double crochets into the center of the circle, with a chain 2 in between each double crochet. So the reason why we're chaining 5 is the first 3 chains will count as the double crochet, and the next 2 chains will be the chain 2. Okay, so let's go ahead. 1, 2, 4, 5, and then double crochet right back into that center circle, and chain 2, then double crochet into the center circle, then chain 2, double crochet back into the center circle, chain 2, double crochet into that center circle. Remember, we want a total of 8 double crochets. We're counting the first 3 chains as a double crochet, so let's see how many we have so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 3 more double crochets. So after this double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the center circle, chain 2, and then double crochet back into that center circle, chain 2, and double crochet right back in to that center circle. So we should have 8 double crochets, counting that chain 3. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. So after this double crochet, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that 3rd chain. That counts as our first double crochet. Okay, so that is round 1. For round 2, we are going to chain 7. 6, 7. The first 3 chains will count as a double crochet, and then the next 4 chains will be the chain 4. So now we're going to skip the chains, and we're going to do a double crochet into the top of the double crochet from the first round. Then chain 4, and then skip the chains and do a double crochet into the top of the double crochet in the previous round, chain 4, and then we're skipping the chains again. We're going to do a double crochet into the top of the double crochet stitch from the previous round, and then we want to chain 4 again, and then do a double crochet into the top of the next double crochet, skipping the chain stitches, chain 4, skip the chain stitches again, do a double crochet into the top of the double crochet from round 1, chain 4, double crochet into the top of that next double crochet, chain 4, skip the 2 chains, and do a double crochet into the top of the double crochet. And then you can see we're almost done. We need to chain 4, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the 3rd chain up, because that counts as our first double crochet. Okay, so that is round 2. That's what it looks like so far. Okay, and then we're going to count up 3 stitches and join with a slip stitch. And there you have, the 3rd round is done, and it's starting to look like a spider web. So now, for round 4. Okay, so for round 4, we're going to chain 12. We're going to skip the chain stitches. We're going to do a double crochet into the top of the double crochet stitch from round 3. Okay, and you know, basically you want to lay the web over your hand, and if you find that 3 rounds was enough, then you're done. But if you need it to be a little bit bigger, then you definitely do 4 rounds. So like for this one, I did 3 rounds. That would be like a small to medium sized hand. But if you want a little bit bigger, then, you know, do the 4th round. So the first, we did 12 chains. The first 3 count as the double crochet. So the next 8 stitches is the chain spaces here. So we did the double crochet now. So we're going to chain 8. Skip the chain stitches, double crochet into the top of that double crochet stitch, chain 8. Skip these stitches, the chains, double crochet into the top of the double crochet stitch, and then chain 8. And then skip these stitches, double crochet into the next stitch, which is the top of the double crochet from the previous round, chain 8. Skip the chain stitches and do a double crochet into the top of the double crochet stitch from the previous round. So let me show you what it looks like so far. It's starting to look like a spider web. Alright, let's chain 8. And then skip the chain stitches again, double crochet into the top of the double crochet stitch, and then we're going to chain 8. And then, skipping the chains, double crochet into the top of the double crochet stitch, chain 8. And then, join with a slip stitch to that 3rd chain, which counts as the first double crochet. And there you have 4 rounds completed of our spider web. How cute. And then what you want to do is you want to lay that over your hand. And that is just the right size for my little wrister here. So now you want to make a loop for your middle finger here so that it will fit over it comfortably. I mean, I guess you could just use a strand of yarn like that, or you can chain some stitches. So for my middle finger, it just really depends. You want to make the chains long enough to make a loop around your finger. So here I am going to chain 14, and it's really going to depend on your tension as well. You may need more or less stitches. So I'm going to do 1, 2. Okay, so I did 14 chains. I'm going to join with a slip stitch to that top of that double crochet to make a ring or loop. And there's my loop. So now I'm going to go ahead and fit that over my finger just to make sure it fits before I fasten off. And that is the perfect size. So there is the spider web for the top of your hand for your wrister. And you can make this smaller if you want. Like for a smaller hand, you could just stop at round 3. This, but if you want it to fit more of the top of your hand or even overlap, then 4 rounds. I recommend doing the 4 rounds. For, a child or a smaller hand, then the 3 rounds. And that's how it will look that way. So it's just a matter of preference. And this is one that I did with the black yarn. And what I did for the cuff is I alternated between black, orange, and green. And that was a fun colors for Halloween. So you can just do different designs. So this is where you stop at 3 rounds if you want it for a smaller hand. If you want it to cover more of your hand or for a larger hand, you would do 4 rounds. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this aside here while I show you the rest of it. Now, you can make a loop to fit over your thumb if you want to and your pinky. I usually just make it over the middle finger there and then just have it rest on top of my hand because I don't want to have it all looped around each finger. But you can. You would just see where the loop is here for the middle finger. Just count down to the next double crochet to make a loop for your pinky. Of course, you won't need as many chains as you do for this one. You just make it until it fits your pinky. And then you count down 2. From this loop, you count down 2 double crochets to make the loop for your thumb. And you just make it big enough to fit your thumb comfortably. But I just prefer to have the wrister without the loop for the pinky or the thumb. But it's just a matter of preference. I find that that's plenty. So now to make the cuff, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So we'll go ahead and set this aside. Or if you want, you can actually cut the yarn here now. So we're ready to fasten off and finish that loop. So I'll go ahead and pull that through. And then all I'll need to do is weave in these little tails. So now I'm going to show you how to do the cuff. Okay, so for the cuff, it fits about like right there. So if you want it about this size, then you're just going to need like 12 stitches this way, and then you just make a band. If you want it to be this size, and that's just, cover a little bit of your wrist, then we're just going to be chaining 12 stitches, and I'll show you the rest of it. We're going to make a band that goes around the wrist. But if you want it longer, then just chain more, and I'll show you what I mean in just a moment here. So I'm going to make the cuff with black. Okay, so to make the cuff, we're going to start off with a slip knot. And I'm going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you're going to skip the first chain and do a single crochet into the next stitch. And then you'll just do 1 single crochet into every single chain. So you should have 11 single crochets when you're done. Okay, so then that's going to be about that length of your wrist. So if you want it to be longer, you can. I find this is the perfect size. So it's just really going to depend on your tension as well. So you may need more or less stitches. Now, of course, if you use a bigger crochet hook, you won't need as many stitches. But I do recommend that when you make the spider web, you do use this size, because you don't want the spider web to look thick and chunky. But you can definitely change to a larger crochet hook when you do this if you find that you want it to be. It will actually go quicker too. You won't have to do as many rows. You'll just need to do less chains. And you just make it as long as you want it on your wrist. But if you continue with this size, you just need 12 stitches. Skip the first one and do a single crochet in each one. So you'll have 11 single crochets when you're done with this round. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work. We're going to work a single crochet into the back loops only, and we're going to do a single crochet in each stitch. So we're not working in the front loops at all, just 1 single crochet into every single stitch, working in the back loops only. Okay, then chain 1, turn our work, and do a single crochet into every single stitch, working in just the back loops only. I'm just working in the back loops. So this is really easy. It's just a single crochet in every single stitch. Of course, we're not working in the front loops at all, just the back loops. Okay, so that was row 3. Chain 1, turn our work, 1 single crochet into every single stitch, working in just the back loops. Okay, and we're going to keep doing that same thing over and over again for each row until it's long enough to fit over our wrist, wrap all the way around our wrist. So just keep going and going until it's long enough to go all the way around your wrist. And then you just sew the ends together to make a cuff. So I'll go ahead and put the camera on pause while I continue to work my rows. Just keep working them the same way. When you get to the end of the row, chain 1, turn your work, do 1 single crochet in every stitch, working in the back loops only, and just do that as long as you need it to fit around your wrist all the way around to make a cuff. So I'll put the camera on pause, and when I have it long enough for my wrist, I will meet you back here. So while I had the camera on pause, I continued to work my rows the same way until it was long enough to go around my wrist and wrap all the way around my wrist, just like that. And then you just had to sew the end together. So everyone's tension is going to be different, so the number of rows that you'll need will be different than the rows that I did. So let me just measure and show you how many I did. So mine measures about 8 inches, which is perfect. I mean, you don't want to make it too tight. Definitely want to make it, loose enough that it will stretch. I mean, even if I went 7 inches, it would stretch. But I want mine to be comfortable and not too tight. So 8 inches is just perfect. And now I'm just going to go ahead and fasten off. But I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail so I can sew the ends. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that through, all the way through. Give it a tug to fasten off. And then all you do is you take this and fold it over, because we're going to sew it together now. Take your darning needle. You just want to sew the ends together. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put the video on pause while I continue to sew my cuff together. Okay, so while I had the camera on pause, I went ahead and sewed my cuff together, and that fits right over my wrist, just like that. And then, if we take our little spider web, slip that over my middle finger there, that little loop, and then we're going to connect the web to the cuff. Okay? So this one here, you can just connect it right here. So let me show you that. Put the cuff on. Slide that over your finger. And then you're just going to connect it right there and sew it on. I'm going to take some yarn here. We're going to sew the spider web to the cuff, so you kind of want to find center here. So if you flatten it down, you can just kind of move over to the little ridges here. Okay, so we want to flatten it down, find center. Right here. So that's the center. So we want to sew these little side. Take one of these chains, and don't sew through both, just the top. And sew it through the cuff to attach. Give it a little tie. Or we can weave that in afterwards. And then just one more time sew it 2 or 3 times to make sure it stays put. Okay. And then in the back there you can sew those 2 pieces together. Or you can tie those 2 pieces together in the back. Then you can just weave those in afterwards. And then we want to connect the other one now. So let me get some more yarn. Okay, find center. Remember, you don't want to sew it through both because you want to be able to slip that over your wrist, so just the top. Okay, and then you can tie those two in the back. Okay, and then you can just weave it over to that center double crochet there and give that a stitch or two. Okay, I'm just going to weave in the tails. Just slip this right over your wrist like that. And then place this right over, that loop right over your middle finger. And just adjust that down. And there you have your little spider web wrister. How neat does that look? And then if you want, you can go ahead and take a little spider. I made this with the purple sparkle scrubby yarn actually, and it looks like a little fuzzy spider. So you could make a little spider and sew it onto the cuff, and how cute does that look? Perfect for Halloween. I love the way it came out. Enjoyed the tutorial today. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and I want to thank you for watching today. Have a great day.